Hi, happy holidays. It's Steve Cochran. I'm live in my car, but I'm stopped. The car's moving behind me. That's actually a green screen. No, I'm sitting in a parking lot at a Costco. It's the holidays. And it's a new episode of Live from my office where my old friend Nick Digilio will talk about being an author. I didn't even know he'd read a book. So stand by for that. In the meantime, you can follow me on Substack, see what I'm writing there, and keep an eye at CochranShow.com for everything else. And certainly follow me on social media. Follow me home if you want. The medical update is 4 weeks plus now with my new knee, and it looks like we're becoming friends, and I think I'm going to keep it. But again, with the holidays, I have kept the receipt in case I change my mind. I wonder what you'd exchange a knee for. I'll put another elbow in. All right, let's get after it. It's a new episode of Live from my office, and here it comes, a conversation with Nick. This is Live from my office, live from my kitchen counter, if you will. I am now 4 weeks into recovery on my brand new left knee. In case you missed this joke last time, what happened is I got the right knee done in 2021. The left knee was done 4 weeks ago. And this one I upgraded. I got Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and a backup camera. Painful? You bet it is. Sleep? Not that much. These cost me $100 a piece when I fly, these bags. So I've invited a friend in, and a friend of yours and a friend of mine. Sounds like a mob thing. A friend of mine is a friend of yours. We are radio brothers forever, and he is one of the most talented, entertaining, interesting people I've ever known. Fun, funny, and if I could just get an opinion out of him. And nobody was more proud than I was when I got this sent to me. This is 40 years, 40 films by Nick Digilio. And if you said, Steve, of all the people you know, who would surprise you most who is a published author? He's right there. If you're watching on YouTube, he's a published author.
How the hell did that happen? What is going on? What
have you been able to call? Have you been able to call any of your teachers from school and have you get some Nick and some WGN Radio background along with the movies and the time they came out? So good choice by you.
Thanks, man. I wanted to do that because I mean, if the first the idea was to just do reviews, you know, of my favorite movie from each year since I became a critic in 1985. And then I was like, well, you know, a couple of things went through my head. One was I really wanted to kind of throw my story into it because it's my book, you know, what the hell?
Right.
But also I thought there are things that were happening in my life when I chose those movies that affected and directly there was a direct reason why I chose those because of the things I was going through. So I thought, you know, this, like, you know, there are things like movies that I chose after I got sober, I probably looked at differently than I did if I had not quit drinking. And so, and also, I also wanted to say, and then I got to the point where I was like, you know, I want to show that like movie critics are human beings because some people think, oh, you're a film critic, blah, blah, blah. But the point is, like, if you have a crappy day, you know, and you see a movie, if you're a regular human being and you walk in and see a movie and what you're going through in your life affects how you view that movie. And I wanted to make sure that people knew that film critics were the same thing. Like if we have a lousy week or we're going through something weird or life-changing, it's going to affect how that movie appeals to us in whatever way.
The choice of movies, too, for those of you who in the past have said, Nick, he's the horror guy, and you think you're going to get blood and guts for the last 40 years, you have really a fascinating cross-section of some of the greatest movies of all time. And it's a great one of these, you know, anytime you do a listicle or a list book, it's a great bar argument. Or in the case of you and me, it's a great argument, not in a bar.
Right.
And a great conversation starter. But you come at it from the point of expertise of knowing Hollywood, knowing the business, knowing the directors, knowing the performers, knowing what it takes, and knowing what should be entertaining on screen and what isn't, or whether it makes money or not. So let me start with one of our favorite guys, because I know you agree with me on Albert Brooks being one of the funniest people of all time. And you chose Lost in America, which is 40 years ago, which is crazy.
It's the first movie that topped my top 10 list for the first time. So in 1985, when Roy Leonard, I got the phone call from Roy Leonard saying, hey, man, I'm tired of reviewing crap. You do that. You know, like that's essentially what he did was you like that horror stuff. You like that kung fu nonsense. You do that. And so I became a film critic after that. But in 1985, when I first put my official top 10 list together, and I had done top 10 lists, for a high school newspaper and for my friends and all that crap before that. But 1985 was the first one as an official movie critic, clearly, and it was a good year. And by the way, I do include my top 10 list from the past 40 years,
which is
book
cool
as well.
Yeah,
and so there's over 400 titles that are listed in this book. So anyway, but the point is that it was a really strong year in 1985. But without question, when I put that list together, without question, it was Lost in America. I didn't even think Akira Kurosawa released Ron that year, which was an astonishing movie. Back to the Future came out that year, but still, my obvious choice is Lost in America. It's one of the
do you have a theory on why he didn't make more movies, or why? I mean, he's Albert Brooks; he could still do it.
Yeah, I mean, and he
made less than 10 films, right?
He made 7 movies, and they're all great. They're all great. 5 of them, I think, are masterpieces. 5 of them, I think, are 5 of the greatest comedic American films ever made. The other 2 are good. They're flawed, but they're good. Mother and The Muse are the ones that I think are just good, not great. But the other ones are unbelievable. I mean, from
greatest line from Mother.
Yeah.
With a spoon, takes a bite. It tastes like an orange foot because of the freezer burn on top of the sorbet, on top of the sherbet in the freezer.
Which she called the protective coating on.
Right. So Lost in America, love it.
I mean, no, to me, it's an American masterpiece. It's one of the funniest movies ever made. It's still funny to this day. It's 40 years old. It's as important and as funny as it was then. Everybody in it. I mean, there's that scene between Albert Brooks and Gary Marshall where he tries to get his money back from the casino. Is one of the greatest scenes of all time. It was a movie that said more about 80s yuppieism than any other movie, and it was released halfway through the decade. You know what I mean? Like, Wall Street didn't even come out until 1987, and this movie was nailing that beforehand. And Albert Brooks in general is just hilarious. Every time the guy opens his mouth, he's hilarious. And between, real life, modern romance, this one, Defending Your Life, I mean, the lineup of movies and finding comedy
which is a great movie and got usurped because of horrific timing and world tragedies and terrorism threats. Go back and watch that.
It's Looking for Comedy. Sorry, Looking for Comedy in the Muslim.
Looking for Comedy,
But I still think that his if I had to pick a favorite movie, and it's hard because they're all great, but I'm not, Lost in America, and Julie Haggerty is so good in it, and
100%.
And
she was only 4 or 5 years out of Airplane at that point.
Yeah, she was 5. Yeah, I mean, when they shot it 4 years out of Airplane, and of course, the legendary stuff like like the nest egg speech, which is amazing, and all that. But I think my favorite line in the movie, there are so many, it's hard, but it's when they're at the Hoover Dam and the camera kind of just like is following them towards the edge of the dam, and the camera kind of looks over the Hoover Dam, and you hear Albert Brooks go, "Nice dam, huh? Should I jump first or should you?"
Right.
After she lost the nest egg in Vegas.
So let me move to a different genre, Westerns.
Yeah.
In all the years I've known you, I don't think I ever remember discussing a Western with you, and I was thrilled to see that you, like me, love Unforgiven.
Yeah, I think it's the best movie Clint Eastwood's ever made.
I agree.
And if you notice, if you look at the other top 10 lists, or when I write an essay, at the end of the essay, I always include other movies that I loved. It seems like almost every year, Clint Eastwood is always mentioned, like his movies, because I love Clint Eastwood. I think he's an incredible filmmaker. But Unforgiven to me is one of the greatest Westerns ever made. And at that time, he was like, I think I'm going to retire after this. And then he only made about 900 more movies. But it's a contemplative movie. It's really, he's amazing in it. Incredible cast. Gene Hackman won an Oscar. It won Best Picture. He won Best Director. A Western, one of the greatest Westerns ever made, and one of my favorite Clint Eastwood movies. And without question, 1992, the best movie of that year.
Forrest Gump comes out, and it's a massive hit. And it's Tom Hanks at his highest powers. But there were people then, and there are people still today, who want to write it off. It's schmaltz. Yeah. Treated sort of like, what's the Billy Joel song, listing the historical feats?
We didn't start the fire.
We didn't start the fire. Like a Forrest Gump is like a we didn't start the fire. You make the great point in the book. Oh, by the way, if I hadn't had a chance to plug it yet. Let me get it in frame here. 40 years, 40 films by Nick Digilio.
Wait, you mean this?
It's that one. It's crazy. One? You have a copy. That's fantastic.
Yes, I do.
But the reason I bring up Forrest Gump is because people did want to write it off and say it was just, it's a commercial, it's a
Yeah.
popcorn movie. And you make the point in the book, there's great social commentary throughout that entire movie, and a ton of it had
It is. I mean, Robert Zemeckis is another one of those filmmakers who I think is one of the greatest living. I mean, I already mentioned Back to the Future. He directed that. Forrest Gump is one of those movies that I think is criminally misunderstood. And unfortunately, when it came out, and you probably remember this, Steve, both political parties wanted to dive in and grab it for themselves. You know, like I remember the Republicans latched onto it, the Democrats latched onto it, and the point is, it's not really a political movie. It is a satire of America seen through the eyes of this guy. Absolutely, completely, but it became associated with, and everybody who is on the left thinks, oh, it's a right-wing movie, and I don't want to. You know, everybody who's on the right's like, oh, it's a left-wing movie, and I'm like, no, it's just a movie, and it's a really damn good movie. And I think that really got tossed into the argument. But the real argument that I've always gotten into over the years is because that came out in 1994. And my friends are still pissed off at me because I picked that instead of Pulp Fiction. Like, I think Forrest Gump's a better movie than Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction was one of my favorite movies that year, but I think Forrest Gump is an massively better film in a lot of ways. But I caught a lot of hell for that from the hipsters.
The 90s were so explosive in so many great films, but you also highlight, and part of this is in knocking out another thing in your book, A Simple Plan from 1998, tremendous movie, and a lot of people have never seen it.
Yeah.
But the movies that came out in 98, and I'd forgotten this, but Rushmore, Primary Colors, Happiness, The Truman Show, Blade, and then because you're Nick Digilio, you're always going to throw me a curve. Abe, Pig in the City.
I love that movie. I love that movie. No, I see, and that's the thing. What's funny is like you were saying, because a lot of people who are now getting this book are like, wait a minute, I thought there would be all blood and guts, and there's a lot of blood and guts that I like in the book. There is, but not all of my number one movies are blood and guts horror movies. In fact, the one specifically from 1987. My top choice in 1987 is this wonderful movie that John Borman made, autobiographical film about when he was a child in London during the Blitz, World War II. And it's called Hope and Glory. And Hope and Glory was my number one movie in 1987. In 1987, a lot of really dark stuff came out in 1987. Near Dark came out in 1987. The Stepfather came out in 1987. An Evil Dead movie came out in 1987. And I chose Hope and Glory, and a lot of people are like, wait a minute, are you what? And they're completely blindsided that I didn't go dark and I went, uplifting and happy. So that's why some people like Babe. You go, Nick, you liked Babe? Well, it was. I will say this: it was co-written and executive produced by the guy who made the Mad Max movies. So there you go.
Now, listen, I love the fact that you like Babe. Let me jump all the way to 2012. This is another Zemeckis film. There's no bigger Denzel Washington fan than me, and partly because we're practically twins. He and I are often for each other. Flight, Denzel Washington. I think maybe his best performance ever.
I agree. And again, Robert Zemeckis. And, this was a movie that Robert Zemeckis made. Zemeckis took like a decade-long detour doing stop motion animated feature, capture animation movies like The Polar Express and Beowulf and Christmas Carol. And he hadn't done a live action movie in almost a decade, and he was just messing around with this animation and technology. He's always been fascinated by technology. His first movie back with real human beings, was Flight, which is this incredibly complicated, complex movie about this alcoholic pilot played by Denzel Washington. And it's as dark as it gets and as realistic and as powerful a movie as you'll ever see about addiction. And I think featuring Denzel's best performance. And to come back after experimenting for 10 years in weird computer animation and then making a movie as human as that, I think just goes to show what an incredible filmmaker Zemeckis really is.
It's interesting to me too, because you and I come at addiction from different sides. I loving about 50 family members who are all addicts. You battling alcohol yourself and winning, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm trying. 5 years in this past October.
God bless you.
Thanks.
God bless you. My brother Mickey, who you know well.
Yeah,
got 22 coming up on New Year's Day, and he asked me to say hi.
Well, tell him I said hi back. He's a great and a really great, inspiring dude. No question about it.
So I think about what it was like if you saw Flight after or before.
Because it was before.
Yeah. And have you gone back and looked at it in the last 5 years?
Yeah, well, see, now here's the thing. As you know, I got sober in 2015, and I was sober for 5 years at that point. Should be 10 years. Like, I technically should be sober 10 years, but there was a 6-week period after I got fired from WGN in 2020 when I fell off the wagon and drank nothing but Jameson and didn't eat and ended up in the hospital and almost died. So for about 6 weeks in 2020, I fell off the wagon. So it's been like 10 years, but there's that 6-week period. But, but anyway, so I got sober in 2015. The first time I got sober was 2015. Flight came out in 2012, and I have seen it. Since I've gotten sober, it's even more powerful. Like, because when I was a drinker,
I thought you'd say.
When I was a drinker, I was kind of, as many of alcoholics. I don't want to speak for everybody. For me, I was in denial as to being an alcoholic. People were like, Jesus, you drink a lot, and I'm like, nah, I'm fine. And that is a conversation that happens repeatedly in that film. And when I saw it in 2012, I just like, wow, this is great movie. And then when I saw it afterwards, after 2015, when I got sober, I'm like, holy shit, I didn't really notice this stuff before. But no, it's even better after I've gotten sober.
The book, you may want to get a copy, or maybe a few more. You're careless, you'll lose it. So where do they get it, Nick?
Oh, you can get it at Eckhart's Press. It's a wonderful boutique Chicago publishing company, Eckhart's, and that's ECKHARTZ, Eckhart'sPress.com. And you can get copies there. And every month, that's exclusively there. Really wonderful guys. Rick and David, the guys who run the publishing house, are
Rick,
incredible
one of the great
guys.
radio producers of all time.
Rick, yeah, he's an amazing dude, and David's a great guy, and they have been nothing but supportive and incredible, and I couldn't recommend these guys enough as a publishing company. So Eckhart'sPress.com is where you can get it, but I do have monthly screenings at the Lake Theater in Oak Park.
Right.
The second Wednesday of each month, I host screenings, and I bring books with me now, and I sell them and sign them for you. Great. I'd be happy to sign them for you too. But yeah, that's the second.
I assume when you're doing the screenings, the questions that come up in some case get repetitive, but there's probably new questions all the time. Is there one that jumps out? You go, I didn't see that coming.
Well, in terms of what questions about?
Questions from the audience, either about the movie you just saw or in general.
Yeah, no, I just showed Batman Returns.
Okay.
Which was my last one. The last screening was last week, and that is a great Batman movie with Michael Keaton, and that's the one that features Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman and Danny DeVito as the Penguin. And I also like it as a Christmas movie. And one of the responses that I got from the audience was, "I thought Annette Bening played Catwoman." And I went, "Oh, good, yeah." I don't know if you watched the movie, but that wasn't Annette Bening. That was Michelle Pfeiffer. Just in case you slept through the movie,
missed it by that much. Last I had this conversation with you. It certainly goes for 40 years, 40 films, because you talk about this movie in there. Your all-time favorite movie was a Paul Thomas Anderson movie called Magnolia.
Yeah.
Still the case?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. And obviously a very divisive movie. People either love it or they hate it. And when I saw it, I was just so completely blown away by just the chutzpah it has. And it's long. It's everything about it is big and operatic and over the top. And it's got an all-star cast, and it tells a whole bunch of crisscrossing stories of a bunch of people in LA over the course of a couple of days. And it's Tom Cruise and, William H. Macy, Julianne Moore, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Philip Baker Hall, all telling this beautiful story that's written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, who, by the way, wrote and directed the best movie of this year, One Battle After Another, which is an incredible...
Oh, yeah, which I've not seen.
Oh, my God. It's by far the best movie of the year. But this movie spoke to me, and it gets weird. There's great songs by Amy Mann that are used in it. There's a moment in the movie where it kind of turns into a musical where every character starts singing along with this Amy Mann song called Wise Up. And that's where people go, huh? And then frogs fall from the sky. And at that point, people go, I'm out. I don't know what the hell's happening.
Yeah, and by the way, with the AI threat that's out there, if they did it again as a sequel, would those frogs get work? Or would they be AI? We don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's a big, kind of a crazy film. But for some reason, it speaks to me in my brain and in my heart, and it overwhelms me every time I watch it. And he's my favorite. He's currently my favorite filmmaker in Magnolia. I was really pleased that I got to write about my favorite movie of all time in this book too, because it means a lot. It's a movie that Paul Thomas Anderson. You and I have strong Saturday Night Live ties, and Paul Thomas Anderson's married to who?
Maya Rudolph. Yeah,
Maya Rudolph.
Yeah, it was great.
That's got to be a fun house.
It's got to be, right? And they've got like 900 kids. Remember that? Remember a period of time when it seemed like for about 5 years straight or 6 years straight, Maya Rudolph was pregnant all the time?
Yeah, right.
But yeah,
You go,
no,
hey,
Magnolia, it was a pleasure to write
PTA, get
about
a hobby. Leave your wife alone for 10 minutes.
Exactly. I remember seeing a, you know how they have those stickers on the back of cars in the back window where it's like a stick figure with like mother, dad, and then like kids and a dog. You know, you've
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
those,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, well,
Yep.
there was one sticking. I was walking past a car. It was parked on the side, on the side, on the street, and I'm walking past it, and I looked at the back, and it was like mother, father, kid, baby, kid, dog, and then someone wrote in the dust that had accumulated on the back window, wrote, "Get off of her."
Oh, yeah. Well, if it's true, it's right.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't be more proud of you, man. And for
Thank you, man.
Christmas, any holiday, but for
Yeah.
Christmas, 40 years, 40 films.
And
by
you're
Nick
mentioned
Digilio.
in it, my friend. You are mentioned in it.
Nice of you. I haven't
Several
read
times.
that part of it yet. Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
no, several times.
Well, I shouldn't say
I mean,
thanks. I'm assuming.
yeah, no, I'm
I'm
sorry.
assuming it's good. I'm assuming
No,
it's good.
Well, you haven't read it yet, man, have you?
Yeah,
It's
not
great.
that
Of
part.
course it is. Of course it is.
Okay. Well, your friendship means a ton, but I'm really thrilled because all of us think we have a book in us, and most of us probably do. Taking it from there to actually writing it is a huge
Yeah.
deal.
Well, I do want to mention that my girlfriend Julie, the lovely Juliet Durbin, this book would not exist were it not for her because, you know, she was like, I was like yapping about it and blah, 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 and being all, you know, like, oh, feeling sorry for myself about shit that happened in my life. And she's just like, just write the book, jerk. You know, and I'm like,
Oh, okay.
okay. And she helped me. She helped me do it. And I literally would not have written it without encouragement from
That's great.
the lovely Julie. So,
And again, it's Eckhart's Press, ECKHARTZ.
yes, Eckhart'sPress.com. You can get a book now.
Okay.
Or, you know, that's the best way to get it.
All right. Now, since you're not here with me, I want to ask you to sign it, but what would you have said? Because I'll sign it for you. What would you have said in my autograph copy?
Oh, let's
I'm
see.
signing right under your name to make it more authentic.
Okay. To Steve.
To Steve.
Yeah. Let's see. I invited you to the party. I would have invited you to the party, but I knew that you would not show up.
Oh, that's sweet.
Thanks for all the years of support. Your pal, Nick.
That's very nice. Very nice. By the way, I think I've mentioned this to you in the past, but Dave Barry, one of the funniest humans on the planet, maybe the greatest book inscription ever.
Oh, okay.
He was in to our radio station, WGN, because it's always going to be our radio station.
Yeah.
And he was in our radio station, WGN, and he's giggling as he signs the book, whatever he was plugging at that point. We get into a commercial break, and I open it up, and he goes, "No, read what I wrote." So I go to the title page, and I read it, and it says, "Steve, fuck you, Dave Barry." Thanks, buddy. So
That's the best. That is I have to write that in some of these. From now on, if I sign a book, that's what I'm signing it.
Just briefly on this holiday season, it's hard not to think back of all of those Christmases we shared at the Mighty 720.
Yeah.
And regardless of what that place has developed into or developed out of, it'll always be the greatest radio station on the planet.
Yep.
The time we had together there and the time we did our shows there was tremendous. The relationships we had. And I would put our A line up against anybody that ever did it in front of a microphone.
Yeah.
So for everybody listening now who has any connection to WGN, thank you for the past. Thank you for all the support. And I hope you have fond memories of WGN Christmases as well.
Yeah.
And now go get Nick's book.
Now, one of my favorite WGN specific Christmas memories is that when they would decorate the showcase studio on Michigan Avenue there, which now I think is like a perfume shop or something, which is terrifying. But anyway, when they would do that, they would have like a fake fireplace, and it looked like Santa was coming down. But it looked as though, from the way it was set up, it looked as though Santa hung himself in the fireplace. That's what I always thought, because his feet were dead. And I remember pointing it out to everybody whenever I was like, "Look at Santa hung himself in our chimney." I don't know what.
Not great for the kids.
No, not great at all. And I do want to mention really quickly, since you mentioned WGN, the book is dedicated to Roy Leonard, and I did want to mention that. You want to talk about a book that wouldn't exist? My career wouldn't exist without Roy, and
the great Roy Leonard,
the greatest broadcaster, one of the greatest people that's ever walked the face of the earth. I would not be here being interviewed right now. I wouldn't have had a radio show. I wouldn't have had a podcast. I wouldn't have had anything. I wouldn't have had this book without Roy Leonard, and I dedicated it to him. And also, I do also want to mention we lost the amazing Tony Fitzpatrick a couple of months ago, who wrote the introduction to this book.
Right.
The last time I spoke to Tony was thanking him for the introduction, which I received in August. I received the introduction for the book in August, and he passed in October. So I just wanted to mention those two amazing gentlemen who helped me throughout my career, and the book wouldn't exist without those guys either.
One of the last conversations I had with Roy, and I'd been on WGN 8 or 9 years at that point, was just remember, Roy, when you're ready, I'm just filling in. This chair is yours. Just come back and ask for it.
Yep. That's what it all feels like. That's what it always feels like. At some point, I think Roy's going to come back and just go, listen, man, I'm going to take over now. Okay, dude, it's all yours because you're the best ever.
Buddy, I love you. Congratulations on the book.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Get it for Christmas. Get 2 or 3 copies. 40 years, 40 films.
It's hard not to like him. And I think you're really going to like that book. I hope you get it and get it, as I said, a few copies. In the meantime, thank you, Ross Cochran. Another fine job of producing Live from My Office and Anything But Politics. Ross and I are going to appear. It's going to become a casual annual tradition where he and I will appear together on Live from My Office in a few days for a little bit of a year-end recap, holiday situation, and looking forward to 2026 kind of thing. In the meantime, I hope you are having a wonderful holiday so far, and I hope it gets even better. God bless the Reiner family. God bless all of us for all the troubles in the world, but focus on the positive wherever you can. We'll all be better for it. But thanks for listening. This is Live from My Office.
Thank you for listening to Live from My Office, a service of Monkey Run Productions. All rights reserved. The podcast is hosted by Steve Cochran, and it's mixed, edited, and produced by me, Ross Cochran. Steve is available for corporate speaking gigs. He would love to MC your event, and occasionally, he's funny. Thank you for listening. Head to cochranshow.com for more.